Welcome back to Gamers Galaxy Episode 2. I am D'Souza. I'm here with Rubik. Hello, Rubik. How are you doing today?
Hey mate, I'm good. Good to be back and doing this with you again. How are you going?
Good, good. Just kind of recovering from the audio glitch that I endured during the first episode. I need to kind of reel it back in a little bit here.
Yeah. So what are we doing today?
So today we'll be talking a little bit about Momoguro as well as the GameStop and Illuvium sale. We'll talk a little bit about Aradena Warrior and their tournament that's going on now, as well as the first season. What their prize pool is looking like. It's looking pretty spicy. And yeah, anything else in between.
Why don't we talk about Metamorph as well, the new partnership they announced? Do you think that was something we should cover?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually had that up on my screen this morning. I was taking a little deep dive into what it is they're doing and things like that. Um, I took a look at it, and currently their page is showing that it's built on Unreal Engine and Polygon.
Yeah, I saw that.
So yeah, it doesn't look like they have officially updated their landing page to include Immutable yet, but that doesn't surprise me, showing that they just announced it this week.
It sounds like one of those deciding between Polygon and Immutable partnerships and going to go the ZK EVM route potentially. You know, the
Yeah,
one that Robbie was talking about with, lots of partners deciding between the two of them. So
absolutely. And I think we're gonna see more of this as well to come, because you're gonna have projects that are not quite sure where they fit as a game, how they want to implement and things of that nature. You may see games that or projects that start out one way but then decide to kind of transition to a different style because of feedback from the community, uh, how they see the environment changing, all sorts of stuff. So I guess for the first topic, we can go ahead and get started. Talk a little bit about Momoguro, a little bit about what you thought of the game so far. Is it what you expected and things like that? Um, so one of the things that I noticed personally about Momoguro was the style of game is very specific to a choose your own adventure style story. And I grew up playing, not necessarily playing, but reading books that were kind of to this style. Um, the Goosebump books growing up, they had quite a few of them that had chapters that you would kind of jump around in the book based off of the choices you made of where you wanted to go next. Um,
mm,
and that's something I noticed about Momoguro as well. There's certain parts in the storyline where you have to make a decision, and it changes a little bit about the outcome of the game. Is that something you've seen before as well?
I've only seen one decision that was right at the start. I'm only up to Act One, season three, is it, or what is it? Chapter three, Act One. So I haven't gone into it a lot because I haven't had a lot of time to do it. But yeah, I get that. What that it's very written. Like with the start of leading into it, there's lots of really cool music. And I really thought that was going to be more of a like voiced content with like cool music, and there's actually no music that's my biggest disappointment with it. Like that so far, I find it a little bit simple again, but the story I probably should get into a little bit more, but I'm not fully into the story either because it's a lot of reading. So,
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And I wasn't
and
really expecting that.
I agree. It definitely harkens to the reader in you, and I guess the imagination of the voices. I was kind of hoping that there would be voices for the characters to be able to read through and things like that. Um, it and like you said, it's a slow paced game, and I was a bit surprised too. I saw that there's an audio setting on the page, and I thought that I had no audio for a little bit because I thought that it wasn't playing any of the music, and really there isn't any. And I was kind of bummed about that.
Yeah, because
Also,
remember we got the week before we got excited about the music and we were like,
exactly.
we were like, I can't wait for it to come out, and there's just this humming sound in the background the whole time. So that's really big disappointment for me because their music's really cool and catchy. So look, it's a beta, so they're looking for feedback. I've started filling out the feedback form, and I've got everything done except for the suggestions part because I've got a lot to make. The top of my head, the music, um, the so much reading. Like I don't know, I don't want to read all that stuff to be honest with you in a game. It's just too much reading. Um, Having to do the momos every single time when I've only got a couple anyway. I'd rather there should be a button to reset and either keep your momos, sorry, your momo beast set as it was last time, and reset it if you want to reset it, but it stays the same. So you have to click all the time on recreating the momos. A little bit more understanding of what the impact is of the momos. And also the spells that you got on them. I thought it was going to be like a battle game where you choose to use what spells when and things like that, like a little bit of a roguelite style game. It just seems so auto battler, like very minimal game to it at the moment. So that's my biggest criticisms. I hope that they'll take that criticism on board and work on it for the full release. Maybe that is in the plans. I don't know. I haven't seen enough of that. We actually hoping to have someone on in the show soon. This is
Yeah,
to discuss that more.
yeah, and that'll be good. Hopefully, we'll be able to talk a little bit with the team about what their plans are and things like that. And like you said, it's a beta, and um, one thing I saw right off the bat was people kind of up in arms over the prices they paid and purchasing more than one and things like that. Momoguro is not a game where you're going to have several of the hollow self and play several characters. It just isn't in the cards, really, because as you're progressing through the game, you're selecting activities and um, quests that I am currently on a quest that takes 12 hours, and it's a passive quest. There's no live feed of what your Momo or your Hollow Self is doing. There's no um, updates of what they've come across during their quest. Um,
Mm.
and that's something that I was hoping that we would get. Um, as seeing as there is so much lore and story from the team, I was hoping that you know there would be a post quest breakdown of hey, your hollow self encountered this and they did this type thing, and
Yeah, I would like it even more than that. Like, there should be a little map,
yeah,
shouldn't there? Like the Nintendo school Mario games, we used to have a little dot on the map, and that dot represented an event,
yeah,
or a map that you could go into, and then I really expected there to be a little bit more decision making in the game itself, like live, or even just watching some kind of animation of you of the fight play out. It's just like, hey, you could fight, and then it comes back with a return screen saying, "Hey, you won or you didn't win." Like there's nothing at
Right.
all. Or and then you got to wait for all your momos to upgrade, which is 6 of them, I think. Is that right? And the whole 7 with the hollow self. So you're waiting there for those bars to upgrade, like load. And you want to see what they are. So why can't you just get them all in one big screen if you want? There's a lot of little
Correct.
things we can suggest to improve it, but it still is a cute game, and it's I still play it. I still just have a little log on once or twice a day and send my mamas off to do their little quests, and it's got potential, is what I think. And going back to what you mentioned before about the complaints, I read a thread about a typical degen, um,
Yeah.
and it making a baseless claims about not being part of Disney and not in all these stuff just so they can look like they're these marketers. Like
Yeah.
it's their fault, mate. They invested the money in something, in a game. People don't get it yet. PFP collection is completely driven by nothing other than people wanting to get rich. Games are driven by people wanting to have fun. You are not going to get rich playing computer games. I promise you that. You'll no one, sorry, someone individual might get rich
Yeah.
out of playing a game, but a group, everyone by buying into a game is never going to get rich. It just doesn't. The mathematics doesn't work. I've
A
done the
thousand
maths.
percent. And these projects are set up to where, we talk about owning our assets and things like that. And it's the content creators that are really going to win in these things. It's the people that are actually going out there and um, showcasing what these games are about, and showing their skill, their prowess, and things like that, um, to the communities. And when
Mm.
uh, when we have that idea of like, oh, I'm gonna buy something with the idea of flipping it to make a profit and something like that. And like you said, the mentality of the PFP collection and things like that is, hey, I'm gonna flip this and make a certain amount of money. And I actually found it kind of funny, because I find humor in things of that I probably shouldn't. But I thought it was kind of funny that people purchased a bunch of hollow cells, and they didn't realize that a lot of the quests were like 12 hours and things like that. So for each hollow self, they have to go through and sit their character through this 12-hour quest, and they're like, it's not even sustainable for more than one character. And the team has said that it was designed for a single hollow cell. So it was pretty funny.
Mate, yeah, like that's still. I made a comment on Twitter about it was based off from the feedback that I was getting from Mamaguro's, from the community, from the DJs, like the when Lambo crew say when Lambo and sorry, the DJ and crew say when Lambo and I say when decouple. Like I just dream of the day when the PFP collector crew just are completely separate to gaming. It will come. There will be a day when gaming is just gaming again, and we don't have to deal with people that just care about getting rich. That's what it is. I didn't get rich from this event, from this actual thing that I thought I might, and now I'm looking for things to say so I can make them look bad because I'm upset because I didn't get rich. That's the way I read it. Literally how I read it. There, like sure, get get criticism here and there, but don't make up stuff as well. Like that's what they do. They say two things that might be true, like the game's not is garbage, is what he said, which is I have a fair opinion. Like this isn't a great game at the moment. But they say that Disney's not involved and they're 9 times Grammy
Right.
Award winners is lies and all that stuff. That wasn't true, but the people read the first thing and say that one's true, and then they think that they're telling the truth because they're mixing in lies and truth to make it sound worse to get their point across. And I just don't like people like that, and don't think it's healthy for our environment.
Yeah, absolutely. And when that type of fallacy is used very widely in the ecosystem, um, I see the keyboard warriors typing away uh, possibly they get 1 point correct, and then they feel that that validates the rest of their claims, and that's definitely not the case. And really, I felt the team did a good job with handling it. They really only had to time out like one person who was just aggressively over the top, and there's always going to be that person. And all the rest of the people that had uh, something to say about it, they listened to, and they are open to the suggestions, and that's the biggest thing for me. At the end of the day, I want to see the team be able to adapt and grow, and it looks like they're they're open to all these suggestions, and that's the biggest thing. Um, Being open to the suggestions and not feeling like they are the team, so they get to choose what goes where and when. It's one of those things where um, a lot of times it can be overwhelming for the team to get like, hey, it's launch day, and all of a sudden you get a backlash, and a lot of times that backlash can feel a lot louder than the people celebrating it, so it can feel like a very big disappointment.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
I
what do
think
you think about the game? Like the future of it? Where do you think it's going to go? Do you think they're going to make it? Like, have you got any? Like, what would you like to see?
Yeah, I mean, I feel the game has a lot of potential, like you mentioned. I feel that there's a lot of room for growth, and taking, like I said, the story is amazing, and the characters are great. Um, Finding the people to do the voices, finding the time to put in the audio or the music to go with it, that's where it's going to start to set itself apart from, um, I guess, a passive style game that it is now.
I think that's the biggest issue for me. That it's they've I think they've only been in development just over a year, maybe not even a year. So they've rushed it out to get something out in the market, which is kind of like what everyone asks for all the time. If you remember in the community, just get it out. We want it now. How often do you hear that from people?
Yep.
Um, and but there's low gameplay elements to it at the moment. There's low effort gone into the music. There's low effort gone into the diversity of the images and video or all the story. Like there's just backdrops with your Momo on there. Like it's not much effort there. So they've just got bare minimum on everything, and nothing really at the moment stands out as wow, that's amazing. If they just spent an extra 3 to 6 months and put effort into either the music going in or pictures going in, like or video to tell the story, or a little bit more to the game, I think people would say, oh, okay, we can see potential here a little bit easier. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I think they're a great team. They've got the right attitude from what I can tell from speaking to them in personally behind the scenes as well in chats. They're really keen on making this go big. So they're not going to just like the claim that this is just a rug, like you hear the typical rug comment. That's not what this is. It was just get it out as quick as we can, I think, and they've just missed a bit of one element that should have been a standout. Which is what do you agree with that?
Yeah, I totally do. Specifically when you make the announcement early that like, hey, Disney is one of the backers or something like that, it really sets the bar high, right? And then when you do have a smaller team that's executing on a sped up timeline, that's when you get the result that you see now. And again, I don't feel like I'm sitting here holding punches against them. Like I feel that like I've I've said my piece about how I feel about it, and then at the end of the day, the team will show their true colors, if you will, on how they go
Mm,
forward, right? And
mm,
and I think like within the next 3 to 6 months, where you're gonna get updates to the game, I think that's where we're gonna see the direction of the game start to change, and I'm looking forward to that because I'm not someone who's gonna immediately judge something off of again a beta. All right, so I think next up here we could talk a little bit about the GameStop and Illuvium disc sale. Um, I was super excited to do this.
Mhm.
As a huge GameStop supporter and Illuvium lover, super excited to be able to participate in the special sale of these discs. The There's 20,000 of the discs that they
Mhm.
release at 0.029 ETH a piece. That was around $50, and um, each disc came with a pre-bonded Illuvitar inside that had special um, GameStop related items. And
Accessories. Yeah.
yeah, and I was really excited about this, and I was able. Actually, I purchased five discs, and then sent one of the discs to a friend of mine, and um, so I opened the four, and I got three different variations of the Fire Doka, which I was happy that I didn't get um, any duplicates. So I got the voxel Fire Doka. I got the sweating Fire Doka, and then I also got the original Fire Doka with a special upgraded background, and I also got one of the GameStop Archies. And
Cool.
yeah, I was super excited. I kind of sad I didn't get Dash or one of the links, but I
The
was
one that
happy.
cost me $6,000.
Yeah, exactly. I was
Bit sad not to get that one.
yeah, I was sad I didn't get one of. You know what's funny is though, like even if I got one of those, I think I would have kept it. I don't think I would have sold it. Um, but that's just the type of collector I am. Um, but
I'm gonna admit,
yeah.
Matt, I didn't buy one.
Oh, you didn't.
No, I looked at it and went, mm, I kind of like have a kind of a new rule since which I'm trying to stick to, that I don't buy NFTs until the game's actually out and usable. So it might going to cost me in this one because Illuvium could go to the moon if they get everything right, they execute right on their release. They've got a big following already, and they get the right momentum. Those GameStop Illuvitars are going to be worth heaps.
Yeah.
So if it becomes if they do crack it and become big, a couple of 100 million players or something, or 50 million players on their mobile-based battle arena, like it could be, these Illuvitars at the start could be worth a heap, but I don't know, $50. I thought about it when, I'm just gonna sit this one out. I don't know, just had a feeling, just didn't do it. What do you think about me? Am I just not being a true supporter like I should be?
No, like I mean I feel you. Like if you did not, if you are not into the alluvium like that much, if you're not into like the Luvitars in general, I could see why you might have skipped it. Um, or
The stupid thing is, I bought like $100 worth of the original Phase One Illuvitars, so maybe it was the price point that
yeah, and that's another thing,
you
right?
get
Right?
just one, yeah.
Exactly, because that's a big point that quite a few people from the community have been talking about at $50 a pop, and there's only a single pre-bonded Illuvitar inside. Um,
Mm.
there was a well written thread on Twitter, and you know
I saw that.
the person admittedly said that they were an Illuvium fan as well, and um, the way that they broke it down and talked about $50 being a lot for some people, and the rate at which you were likely to unlock something special was pretty low. And
Mm.
I feel that argument. Um, and the Illuvium team, they saw that, they acknowledged it, and one of the things that they had to do as well is realize that this was not necessarily a planned release of Illuvitars, so they had to actually um, kind of rewrite the structure, if you will, of how the Illuvium Beyond game itself works, because each of the Illuvitars has a level, a power level, and then each of the um, accessories has a power level, which gives a total power rating,
Mm.
which
Yep.
in turn is the collectability factor as well as the rarity factor and things. So having that to deal with, and as well, um,
Yeah.
I can see why they did it and how they did it and things like that. And it's definitely something for them to learn from in the future, of how they price things, and at what entry points.
I think I didn't buy it because what stopped me from continuing to buy Illuvitars after I told you I bought the phase one ones is that I like it. It's the best gamification I've seen in Web three. Like it's gamification is not very well understood, and I actually did a research section for a company I work for, and I found out about 15 years ago what gamification was, and the example I was given to introduce me to gamification was the teacher, I think it was a YouTube channel or something, said that the first known official gamification was a ski resort where every time you did a ski run, you'd get a sticker. And if you got 10 runs in a day, you get bronze. If you got 20, you get silver. And if you got 50 runs, you'd get a gold like medallion. You could go and cash those stickers in for a medallion.
Oh wow.
And they said that skiers, that run was just packed full of people the whole day, just doing runs from the getting up in the first thing in the morning and going and trying to get to that 50 runs in a day. I think it was 50 or 30 or something like that. I don't know. It was something that was doable, but you had to be really fast and just get on the lift straight away all day. And it says this, this leaderboards and status. Humans are really attracted to leaderboard status, and that's what gamification means. It means the ability to climb the ladder and get status.
Yep.
And obviously that was 40, 50 years ago when this happened. And he said he got a bronze sticker and he still has it. He was like it was 15 years ago, so he would have been an older man, and it was a young fellow when he was doing it, and he still had that a little bronze medallion that he got awarded. It was just a stupid little medallion, but he just never got rid of it because it was something he reminded him of, and that's the power of gamification. And Illuvitars is the best gamification in the whole of I've seen in Web three. I don't know if you're doing it, where you go in and you add all your Illuvitars to this album and to get points, and you got to unlock them all, and there's hundreds and hundreds of combinations
Yeah.
to give you more points. And I found myself browsing, like looking what one I needed, then going to the token trove and buying the ones I needed, as well as this, just to fill up those things. And I ended up just having to make a decision to go, oh, this could cost me thousands of dollars if I keep going, because I'm very susceptible to gamification.
Yeah, and that's exactly the thing. It's like when you look at Pokemon, and they're like, gotta catch them all, and they're the gamification there of collecting all of the different Pokemon, even if you're not going to use them in a play deck,
Yep.
is something that is very catchy and
See, that's where I think a lot of Web3 games are missing the point of gamification. Like collecting games are cool, yeah. This is where Illuvium gets it right. If you just collected them and there was nothing else that came with it, it's just the satisfaction of collecting. There's people that get addicted to that. But what they've got is that leaderboard for showing for points so you can see where you're ranked and you get prizes and awards and status for climbing the ladder of collecting.
exactly, and
That
that's a huge thing. Like
yeah,
having a PFP collection that has a power rating behind it, so that you are able to show everyone else in the community how powerful your collection is. That
yeah,
is huge right there.
yeah. No, they're clever boys. Those Warwicks, aren't they? Did fun fact? Did you know who their father was?
The Warwicks
Yeah,
is dude. Don't tell me it's the guy from from just tell me because I'm gonna make an
he's,
ass out of myself if I say it because the one I want to say, uh, it's pretty funny.
he's no, he's a tennis player. One of Australia's best tennis players of all time.
Okay, so it wasn't
Yeah.
who I was thinking of.
Yeah.
There's an actor with the last name Warwick, and he's actually he's a tiny person. He's a small person, and
Nah,
we'll just leave
it's
it
not
at
him.
that. And I know,
Yeah.
I know, obviously, looking at the Warwicks, that's not the case, but it I didn't want to say.
Yeah, no, Kim Warwick is their father. He was a really like a top tier, top 10 tennis player. And that's where they get their competitiveness from their father. You don't become a top 10 tennis player without being super competitive. So,
Absolutely. No,
uh,
I
yeah.
did not know that. That's a good piece of information.
Mate, dropping alphas.
I know, right? Yeah, so I think next we can go ahead and talk a little bit about Aradena Warrior and what they are doing. It looks like the $15,000 they're doing $15,000 tournament starting on the 30th.
I think it's supposed to happen now, but there was a bug, so they're fixing the bug and they're going to restart straight away with 8 hours notice. So any time now,
Yeah,
I
okay.
believe.
Yeah, so actually I think they patched the bug last night my time. So
Oh,
it looks like they might have done it because I updated yesterday evening for myself. Um, so hopefully that's started. So I was able to play. I played like 3 or 4 games yesterday, and I'm really starting to dig the style of it.
you get and understand it. That's my. It sounds like it's going to take a little bit of effort to sit down and think about because there's a lot of strategy in this game. Two
Yeah,
different strategy as well.
it is very strategy intensive. You know, think think chess, but like uh quite infinitely more intricate because of the different attacks that can be done as well as the spells that can be cast.
Mm.
So for um, instant gratification, if you will, in killing or buffing or even protecting one of your characters or one of the opponent's characters. Um,
Okay. Interesting. So yeah, but they still got this tournament on now. That's been also it was closed beta. Now they've made it open, so anyone can play. Right now, can just log onto their website and open up and start playing to compete for that 15,000.
and that's huge.
Um, hmm. But I did see also an announcement today or yesterday that their first tournament is going to be first season is going to be $500,000 worth of prize pool
Yeah, that's
as
huge.
well.
That is
That's
that's something that you don't really see from the Web3 community, or I haven't seen yet. A game really putting the prize pool as something very high to encourage a lot of community participation. And I did see, actually, Gods Unchained, they did a bit of like a marketing technique, if you will, when they did the card buyback.
Mm.
But and that was quite a lot of money, that and they did it in a series of waves, right? So uh over a period of a week or a couple weeks, excuse me, um they were purchasing back specific cards from Gods Unchained, and you basically had to follow a little puzzle to figure out what the next card was going to be. And so each week they were buying back uh, close to like $10,000 worth of cards, and it was really cool because it became a little game and within itself of people in the community trading cards, um, crafting higher levels of the card so that you would get as much as possible. So this is something that the Web3 community definitely thrives on, and that's a large prize pool. And who doesn't like a large prize pool?
I can't find it anymore. The announcement. I'm just trying to look for it right now to make sure I'm not, um, you know, to make sure to back that up because I thought you would have heard about that before. Maybe I got scammed somewhere and read
Yeah,
something. Did you
possibly. I
notice
know.
it?
I know for a fact that they had the prize pool was at 10,000, and
Yeah.
then a day or so later, they came and they said, "Hey, we're gonna make it 15,000 for this tournament."
I
I
know. I found it.
and there you
So yeah,
go.
it's it. So they have made an announcement on the 15th, this month that it's $500,000, quarter four, 2023. So that's for season one. This one is just a beta tournament for 15 grand, open for anyone as well. So
Yeah, and that's huge.
these guys just came out of nowhere, didn't they? Really, I knew about them a long time ago. I just kept an eye on them, and then when they announced they were on Immutable, is when I started paying attention because, like, I like playing games the on the Immutable system, obviously. So always pay attention to the games that are on Immutable because at least they've got a smart brain in their developers in which direction they're going. And yeah, and it's just growing in me. Like it's the exact same kind of game that I like at this stage in my life. Just chill, turn-based. Don't have to compete with the 15-year-olds in their flex reflexes and just use your brain and get challenged and yeah. And the game seems like a bit of a difference, like a mix of TCG and a war battler. So yeah, it's I'm excited for it. I'm going to start putting a little bit more time into it now.
Yeah, and I like too. Like it has the qualities of chess as well as the TCG aspect of it. And one of my favorite games when I was a kid was a chess game, and it was the reason I actually liked it. The In reality was that when you were playing the game, every time you took out an opponent's character or vice versa, uh, when the pieces you would move them to take out the character, it would go to a cutscene and actually show the character or the chess pieces transform into the representative characters that they were. So like the rook would transform into this giant like golem type thing, and
Yeah.
and the knight would transform into like a full on knight, and they would battle. And this is somewhat that style, and it's very nostalgic for me.
Yeah, I'm saying you get nostalgic from a new game. Oh, so they I mean, obviously they've got a way to go to polish it all up, but it's if they get that prize pool is going to draw players for sure. So they'll at least have enough players to get a game straight away when you queue. That's why I haven't put too much into it. Because when I have played, this friction to get a game with someone, I was just playing against myself. You know, I don't know if you've done that, where you play against yourself. If you don't go get matchmaking.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Um,
I haven't done that yet.
you probably don't have to worry about it because you Americans, or there's a lot of yous, and in Australia, there's not a lot of us, and that's what we have this problem all the time with games. So because the population's only 24,000 million, and not many gamers because we've got a lot of sun. So
No, I feel
it's
you.
tough.
Like when you're trying to, especially when it's in beta, right? And or alpha, something like that, and you go to queue up for a game, and you're just in a region that not a lot of people will have it, or there's not a lot of population. You just
Yeah.
might not have that many opportunities to find a match.
Yeah, and if it's a fast-paced like Dota game, if you like, or a shooter game, you can't play in C where there is lots of people, even though we're in the same time zone. The servers are so far away. It's like the ping's like just unplayable. It makes it not fun. So we're literally limited to Australians pretty much,
Right.
and there's not many of us. So we do have to wait for games a lot of the time until they become big. So that's why lots of people play Dota, League, Fortnite here because they're the big games you can get in Apex.
Right.
Anyway,
All
that's
right.
being Australians. It's got its benefits, but it's also got its gaming negatives. Those are one of them.
No, I feel you on that. So
Mm.
honestly, I'm really looking forward to what the team does over at Aradena, and how they execute on this. What they've done so far is awesome. I see lot of potential with this game, as well as the staying power that this style of game has. So I think one of the things we should talk about a little bit is Cybergalz. We kind of broached the subject last week. This weekend they're doing a beta test, and one of the things that I saw when I logged into the beta tests is, first of all, to be able to participate in the league play, you have to go to their dashboard and request on a test net. You have to request US dollar, or the fake US dollar coin, and then swap that for the trouble token. And then once you do that, then you have to deposit that trouble token into basically their staking mechanism. Um,
Mm.
it's a lot of steps, and
Sounds like friction.
yeah,
I, I smell friction, mate.
the
It's
the friction is like, I'm chafed. I'm very
that chafed. I can smell the burning.
yeah. We need some Crisco over here. No, like um, it's it's a lot to have to jump through. And then there was a lot of there were a lot of like pop-ups that kept saying that, like, hey, I didn't have enough of this currency, or oh, you can only claim that currency once per day. And
Mm.
I had never requested to claim that currency. So like, it was constantly giving errors, and it really wasn't user friendly. And that's coming from someone that usually has no problem navigating around this ecosystem.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, they. It's like there was a comment, I think we mentioned it before, that they mentioned that some of their contracts needed I think we mentioned it in last episode,
yeah,
that needed a bit more complicated than the ZK EVM, sorry, the Stark X, what a Stark X is capable of. So they probably looked at other partners, and I saw Oasis courted them, they're a Japanese company, and Oasis is Japanese, and so they courted them and offered them all this money to launch their token. But their NFTs are still on Immutable at the moment. But then I just see recently that they've signed something with Consensus to be one of the first games on Consensus. So they're kind of like got Oasis, B&B, Consensus, and then they do a tweet saying we've launched to early access, and they've got all their partners, and Immutable's not there. So is Immutable their silent partner in the background with just NFTs with to in-game gasless transaction NFTs, and they're going to keep that, or have they moved somewhere else? And I think, secondly, this is probably why Zk EVM can't come soon enough, just so that Immutable can be that one-stop shop for all the companies, the game's needs.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we're getting to a point where a lot of these games that have been in development for a while, several years, and they have reached a point where they can't wait anymore, or they don't want to wait anymore. And if they have a solution where they can deploy immediately, I think we see a shift to doing so, and hopefully, hopefully we see that work out.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lull there in a few games that can't wait for the ZK EVM to come and what StarkX doesn't cover for them. The StarkX Immutable doesn't cover they're all like, it's not great with tokens. It's not great with the whole ecosystems without the DEX on Immutable isn't an attractive place for them to launch a token. So the ZK EVM will solve and checkout and passport, and when that system comes together, you'll see games stick with the Immutable, I'd say, and not look for little parts to go off and just do the NFTs only. And also, there's other, like Star Heroes link did a tweet today or 20 hours ago about Arbitrum symbol in the binoculars with their game symbol in the other binocular side. So it's like, looks like they might be looking at options off Immutable, if that means the whole game or their token, or who knows. It might be just the token, but the bottom line is Immutable needs a CK EVM to come sooner rather than later. But also at the same time, people go, oh, we're building 50 games on our chain. It doesn't matter. All that matters is the top 5 or 6 games, because the top 5 or 6 games will dwarf the revenue of anyone, like combined. Like the top game would dwarf all the rest of the games put together in terms of revenue. Like if there's a 100 million player game and that's on any chain, that chain's going to get a massive boost. It'll be more revenue from that one game than the rest of all the other Web3 games combined.
Yeah,
So,
I agree with that statement too. We're gonna see uh, a very large number of transactions, as well as a robust ecosystem that's really gonna make everything kind of look dwarfed, if you will. Um, and yeah, I'm looking forward to see how it pans out, like you said, with the Arbitrum and Star Heroes, and what the Immutable team can do to make sure that the quality stays with Immutable, and to make sure that the execution of the ZKA EVM implementation gets done, and that's a huge point.
yeah, and I think we've talked about this to ourselves in the past, and I've heard it from other people that the smaller players don't get as good a treatment from Immutable as the bigger players, and it's not a thing by design or something that Immutable wants to do. It's just they're a victim of their own success, that they're so big and so much interest in them, and they're growing themselves from just 2017, to it was only like 100 employees a year ago. So they're growing fast, but they're getting their devs up to speed to be able to support these games to help the small players. And I've heard a little bit lately that there's a little bit more time coming for the smaller players, but that could also be If a game's going to get 1,000 players and then you've got Illuvium that needs your hand right now, where are you going to put your resources, mate? You're going to put it into the game that's already got a 15, 20,000 player base that are interested in playing the game, already before the game's even anywhere near out. So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
And listen to this, okay?
yeah.
From the GameStop and Illuvium disc sale, Illuvium had gotten over 10,000 new emails for their beta sign up.
Mm.
With like half of the discs gone, they had already amassed 10,000 new unique emails that had signed up for the beta. That's huge. So at this time, I'd like to thank everybody for listening again. Episode 2 of Gamers Galaxy. And we will be back next week with a little special guest, Tomahawk.